In today's webinar, we're going to be talking about the use of cell phone text messaging by employers to help them reach college students and recent graduates. And the reason why I want to talk sort of in part of the presentation about the presidential campaign is that there was tremendous use of cell phone text messaging in this most recent presidential campaign. We'll talk about how that happened and why and what lessons employers can learn from that. First of all, we're going to talk about what is cell phone text messaging, mobile marketing. Cell phone text messaging is part of mobile marketing, as you'll see. Who's using it? What sorts of organizations are using it and why? And most importantly, how? We're going to talk about it both from a consumer marketing perspective, which are people who do consumer marketing are promoting products and services for sale. They tend to be ahead of the curve as far as this type of program, as far as ad programs go. In other words, people who are engaged in consumer marketing tend to have larger budgets. They tend to be more aggressive with using new media and new options out there. And then recruiters and other people in HR tend to follow the lead of the consumer marketers, again, primarily because of the much smaller budgets that most of us in the recruiting world have to work with. We're going to talk about Barack Obama's mobile strategy, not just cell phone text messaging, but other components as well. And then I'm going to tie that into the some examples of employers that have used cell phone text messaging and other aspects of mobile marketing with great success. And we're going to conclude today's one-hour webinar with a discussion on the best practices. What are the things that you should look out for and do and not do? So first of all, what is mobile marketing? Well, there are three basic components, three main areas of mobile marketing. There are mobile websites, which are accessible. You can go to them through your computer's browser and go to them and see what they look like. You can also go to them through any web-enabled phone. And a web-enabled phone, WAP, is the sort of the shorthand, the acronym for that. Examples of web-enabled phones would, of course, include the iPhone, but any phone that you can access the internet and pull up a website on is a web-enabled phone. And a mobile website is built specifically for those phones. They tend to be much smaller, both in terms of the pages and in terms of the information on each page, so that they're easily viewable on that tiny, tiny screen and over a much slower network than most of us have available to us through our computers. Mobile websites also allow people to not have to scroll left to right. We're going to see an example of some of those sites. You can see what they look like. The second major component of mobile marketing is SMS, short message service. That's cell phone text messaging. Typically, you're limited to about 160 characters, 160, when you do a cell phone text messaging campaign, when you're sending out a message to a lot of people. And the reason for that is you need to pay attention to the lowest common denominator. You also are going to want to include an opt-out message, reply stop to be removed, or something to that effect. And those opt-out messages tend to be about 20 characters in length. So when you're designing your creative, the message that's going to be going out to the candidates, you want to limit yourself to about 140 characters. Essentially, it's about 2 sentences. Cell phone text messages do not include any kind of graphics or custom fonts. So no logos, no bolding the characters, no italicizing, etc. It's just straight text. You may and should include a link to your web page. So if you've got a mobile web page or not, include a link to your career site, because the vast majority of college students and recent grads have web-enabled phones. And when they take a look or read your text message, they can highlight your website address, and they can click on that and pull up your website on their phone, if, of course, you include a link to it. So who receives Mobile advertising, well, in the U.S., about 80% of adults have cell phones. And amazingly to me, about 25% of those want to receive cell phone text message advertisements targeted to their interests. About half of U.S. adults send or receive at least one cell phone text message a week. Now, our audience that we're talking about today, college students and recent grads, it's not at all unusual to run across students who send and receive hundreds of messages, text messages, a day. This is the preferred form of communication now, more so than email even. And if they get a 50, 100, 150 text messages a day, and yours is one of them, it will not be annoying, shocking to them at all. Just about a year ago, a study was done, and about 78 million U.S. adults reported receiving at least one cell phone text message ad on their cell phone over the previous year. And the bulk of that, about two-thirds, 58 million, or actually it's about more like three-quarters, actually had received one in the previous month. And about half of those, not only did they receive a text message in the previous month, but they remembered the message and they responded to it. This is why cell phone text messaging and mobile advertising in general is so incredibly powerful, because not only do people see these ads, they remember them and they respond to them. Another reason why you should use mobile advertising is that cell phones, it's really the only device that pretty much all of us carry around with us all the time. It's very personal. We use it multiple times a day. It's kind of attached to our hip or in our pocket or in our purse, and we are engaged with it. We have come to rely on cell phones far more so than magazines, newspapers, websites, TV, radio, etc. The recall rate, how many people remember seeing your ad, is far higher on a cell phone than it is on virtually, well, on any other media. It's 20 times higher than a banner ad on a website. It's 10 times higher than a letter or a postcard that you get in the mail. This is something that is popular. Lots of organizations are doing it, and it is growing rapidly. This chart here on the left-hand side shows the rapid growth in the amount of money being spent on mobile advertising. It's grown from a little under $1 billion in 2007 to 2012, as you saw on a previous slide, about $6.5 billion. On the right is what a typical cell phone text message would look like. As an employer, that entire message could be yours. You can target the delivery of cell phone text messages to specific candidates, and we can slice and dice them by school, year of graduation, geography, GPA, diversity, etc. Other vendors have similar or somewhat different capabilities, or you can build a list in-house, and we'll get to the discussion on that in a little bit later in the presentation. Let's talk about Barack Obama and how he used mobile marketing in his most recent campaigns, both the primary and the presidential. He did a brilliant job. Now, why was mobile marketing so important to Barack Obama? Well, before the race really even started, he understood that he was going to have three key constituents, three groups of voters that had to turn out in massive numbers in order for him to win.